All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the February 21st, 2025 edition of the Agrobotics Working Group meeting. Thank you all for joining us this morning. I'll start with my broken record reminder of the in-person working group meeting on March the 7th. Flyer is in the weekly email if you want to check that out. Registration is required and appreciated, please. So we have numbers for catering. We're gonna have, some refreshments and baked goods and whatnot that morning. So please register if you plan to come and you haven't yet. We have a few new members. However, I didn't see any of the names pop up. Oh, I just noticed a typo on one of them. I apologize to JP. So it should be Samari. Um, if anybody is here who hasn't introduced themselves before and would like to, please go ahead.
Hey Dan, I'll go. I've been joining in on a
Okay.
few of these meetings, but I've never quite introduced myself just yet. So my name is Eric Coverdale. I'm primarily a solar energy consultant, but I own a farm and I'm interested in doing an agrivoltaics project on it. And I want to do some R&D on AI and robotics technology. So just kind of been a fly on the wall for the last bunch of these meetings. And yeah, I just thought I'd introduce myself in case any of you reach out and you're looking to support some kind of an agrivoltaics project. My farm is about an hour south of London, Ontario.
Excellent. That sounds good. Thanks for introducing yourself, Eric. We appreciate that.
Okay.
Um, Alrighty then. With that, we'll move forward with our presentation for this week. So presentation this week is by David Tao of BH Frontier Solutions. Just met David in person at the Ontario Fruit and Veggie Conference the last couple of days. So saw his stuff, so I'm excited to introduce him and he can share his technology with us.
Hi everybody. Can everybody see my screen share?
Yes, we can.
All right. All right. Hi, my name is David. I'm the founder of BHF Robotics. We make autonomous agricultural robots that selectively kill weeds using high voltage electricity, guided by artificial intelligence, as you can see from the images on the slides here. All right. Well, let's first look at history. The evolution in ag. Started 10,000 years ago, we invented agriculture. We've been mainly relying on hand tools to manage weeds. In the 20s, we invented tractor, which increased our productivity by many magnitudes. And in the 70s, we started using herbicides. That is when we finally able to standardize weed control across the globe, but it also quickly started to lose efficacy due to herbicide resistance, as you might all know, and also the organic products gaining momentum in the consumer markets. But now, fast forward into the 2020s, we're on the brink of a new era where AI and robotics will become mainstream for farming. At this point, we don't have enough land or labor to sustain 10 billion people, which is estimated to reach in 2050. And organic food is becoming popular, but organic farmers don't have the effective weeding methods to scale. And weeds itself, or for people not in agriculture, weeds can easily reduce the yields by 80%. So farmers need to find a way to make more foods quickly and more sustainably. Farmer recognize the value of agricultural robots, especially in weeding, and that's mainly because the resistance and the herbicide-resistant weed cases started to increase exponentially since the 2000s, as you can see from the graph here. And it's a global problem as well, especially severe in North America. Right. And we think the answer to this weeding problem is the AI-powered electric weeding robots. And the current robots comes in two versions, the autonomous single arm version and the tractor version. I'm gonna show the video really quickly. There we go. Can you guys hear the sound?
No sound coming through, but the video.
That's okay. It's just the sound of robots killing weeds. Nothing too special. Right. So this is the first version, the autonomous single arm version, which mainly used to come in the last couple months before harvesting to kill the missing weeds that was left over by the tractor version. So far, this version we can kill up to 10 weeds per second. Right, and this is the tractor version. And we also call it time version, has multiple tines that line up really closely to form almost like an electrified wall. But it coupled with AI, so when you see a crop, you actually find ways to avoid touching it. And this is the autonomous all-purpose modular tractor, right? You can put different implements on it to do different things. All right, let's back to the presentation. All right. All right, so the division of labor between the two versions, the tractor version does most of the work that manages weeds in early stage and mid stage, and the autonomous comes in the last couple months to basically deal with the missing weeds from the previous weed management, weed control. Oops, got a fire alarm here. All right, sorry about that. All right, so this is a BHF AergoBots. We use high voltage electricity to conduct precision weeding. And this has zero soil damages. So far, we haven't discovered any soil damage or soil disruption on the farm we tested. It uses artificial intelligence to be able to tell the difference between weeds and crops, right? And we're enabling low cost and quick turnaround model training. So far, to train a new model, it takes us only 2 weeks to do that for a new crop model. And this is a platform design, so other than weeding, it could also be made to conduct precision irrigation, fertilization, seeding, and harvesting, crop monitoring. Right. So what makes us special? We provide a cheaper and better solution to farmers. So compared to other weeding robots on the market right now, we can kill
Ma
weeds at
réunion
all growth stages.
hebdomadaire.
While competing solution, they can only kill weeds at early stages. And we're 60 times more energy efficient than any other weeding methods. I'm talking about mechanical weeding, laser weeding, and including herbicides. And so far, it's proven that we're faster than any other non-chemical weeding robots out on the markets. And for electric weeding, our weeding speeds will not reduce when the weed density increases. And we comes in a modular solution, so it can be extended to 10 feet wide, 20 feet, 40 feet, and 60 feet wide. We provide the best scalability. And most of all, it's the environmentally friendly way of killing weeds, causes no soil disturbance, no soil damages. So we do both distribution and direct sale. So instead of usually when farmers has to make a hefty investment upfront, we offer multiple per acre cost solution. We emphasize an OPAC decision from farmers. And for our initial target markets, we focus on mid to large size organic farms at the very beginning, focus on high value specialty crops, then move on to organic broad acre crops, soybean and corn. And after that would be the conventional broad acre crops. Right. So the research proposal, we're proposing a research for about 2 years to conduct full season weeding trials on carrots, onions, and soybean in order to evaluate efficacy, efficiency, and the scalability and the potential collateral damages. We also want to use this research opportunity to conduct data collection for field imaging data, including carrots, onions, corn, soybean, potato, cabbage, and beets, and lettuce, right, in order to optimize the computer vision model that we have. Also, so that we can service a bigger crowd of farmers in the next couple of years. All right. So this is us, BH Frontier Solutions, BHF Robotics. If anybody is interested, feel free to reach out to me for further discussions. Thank you.
Thanks very much, David. Were there any questions from anybody regarding David's presentation?
What's the range of size of weeds you can take down, David?
You can kill weeds, all species, all sizes. Some were all the way from as small as my finger, like 1 centimeter tall, all the way until the weeds when they're taller than me, than a human.
A question.
So yeah,
Oh.
basically early stage, mid stage, late stage, all stages of weeds.
There was a question in the chat from Evan Pilkington. Where did you say the R&D trials will be taking place?
Well, mostly, I think all of them would be taking place in Ontario. Yeah, I think since we're focusing on onions, carrots, and soybean this year, so most of them will be taking place in the area where those crops are mainly grown. For instance, the Marquee area, Holland Marsh, also in the Pincourt area in Chatham.
Giuliano was wondering where the units are manufactured.
Yeah, it's manufactured locally in Markham, Ontario, assembled there. Of course, we have parts all over from Canada, from US, Germany, and Asia.
Perfect. Bridget?
And you mentioned it a little bit. So do you have partners already for those field trials, or are you still looking to find partners?
Yeah, we're still looking for partners at this point. So the trials we're going to conduct will be both on the commercial operation, also on the experimental farms.
David, did I see you raise the hand?
Do you have an idea of the cost per acre per season for doing this? And what is the minimum acreage you think a farmer is going to need in order to have a machine to make it viable? And how might the cost of doing this compare to using pesticide or herbicides, assuming herbicides were working?
Right. So it really depends on the crops we're talking about. The cost we're charging customers would be somewhere range between $30 all the way until $600 per acre, depending on the crop. Of course, high value product would be, well, it will be more on the high end. For broad acre field crops, probably more on the lower end. And in terms of acreage, just as long as it makes sense for them to ship the machine to their farm to be able to conduct weeding, then it could be range from 1 acre all the way until 10,000 acres. So there's no limitation there.
And how are you making your machine so light?
Well, essentially, we're using the PTO to generate power, and essentially we're talking about for electric weighting, just a bunch of metal as electrodes, and the motors to be able to make them move up and down and other motions. So there really isn't much components. We don't need to cool the system. It's air cooled. There is no, well, that's the beauty of electric weighting system. It's just a power and slash the motion system slash the electrodes, which are metal parts.
So you don't have great big heavy batteries.
We have one battery, but it's very small, very small. It's only for smooth out the sine wave for electric energies.
Sorry, how does the image capture system work? Are there a bunch of cameras to enable the targeting, or I mean, how does the AI part? Have you sort of captured all the weeds in a image bank and all that?
Yeah. So yes, I think nowadays most computer vision are done through camera. Yes, we have multiple cameras on the system. For our solution is that we form almost like a, if you think about electrodes, you have, let's say 100 of them staggered together or packed densely together. You almost form like a electrified wall pushing forward in a farm. And what it does when it see a crop, it sort of try to lift it up, or it's so we shouldn't be calling it as a weed killer. It's more of a crop avoider. So the imaging system only collect data. I mean, we actually collect data for both weeds and crops, but for the detection, in order to reduce the computing costs, so we only detect crops. Right. So we see a crop, we try to avoid it, and everything else that run into
Everything else gets
electrodes.
zapped. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, interesting.
Kevin,
David, I just wanted to clarify. So you say that it will kill small weeds and big weeds at the same time? Like
That's
with the
correct. But I think for our approach for operations, we'll be mainly targeting on the small size to mid-size weeds because that's when they're easier, not say easier to kill, but killing them early stage would reduce the damages to the crop. So we try to spend most effort in killing them at early stage and mid stage. But for any weeds that's left over that's missed from the initial weed control, then the machine can also go in there to kill them in their late stages.
Okay. And what about grasses? Have you tried much on
Yes, it's
grasses are
especially
usually
effective against grass.
against grass? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
in the chat, Lisa was just wondering if you would be able to put your contact info in the chat.
Yeah, for sure.
Eric was wondering if you would be interested in testing with crops growing beside agrivoltaics.
Yeah, definitely 100%. Yeah, especially when we can get a power supply from the solar panels, that'd be even better.
Perfect. And then Noah was wondering, does the AI operate on an edge device on board the machine, or does it rely on connectivity to a network?
It doesn't rely on, everything is done locally. But from time to time, and we will receive communications in order to extract essential diagnostic data from the machine. But when the machine's operation doesn't need to connect it to Wi-Fi or cellular signals.
Perfect. And Sean asked, is there a fire risk and interest in expanding to the prairies?
Yeah, there's definitely interest to expand to the prairie. We're thinking about doing that in 2026 and onward. As to the fire risk, so far, I mean, any troubles that you see on the farm, basically ignition point is twice as high as what the electric weighting can provide. So theoretically there's no evidence suggests it would ever cause fire on farm. And also through our previous tests on farm, we have never seen a single case of setting the farm on fire. Right. And for the difference between, I guess, electrical weeding and laser weeding is that we don't concentrate on one point to heat that point up. We actually, so what it does is actually going through every single cell in the plant and boiling the water in every single cell. So that means the heat has been majorly dissipated when we kill the weeds. That is why the heat does not accumulate in this case. And the best part is they actually, the most effective part is how to find a way to coming out of the soil. So the roots is the first part gets killed by electric weeding.
Kyle.
Yeah, thank you so much, David. Great presentation. Just a quick question. It's more curiosity because I'm a policy guy, not an engineer. But like you were mentioning earlier that the vision system and AI is targeting the crops, not the weeds. I mean, for some reason that surprised me a bit. I mean, did you ever try it the other way around? Is there any kind of rationale for that? Or perhaps I'm just, it's something I don't realize, but I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it's more of if I identify a weeds, if I identify a crop, I don't touch it, and everything else I simply just let it go. This is yeah. Yeah, I think to the best of my capabilities, is simply so the motion system comes behind this logic is that when I see a crop, I try to avoid it, and everything else, the kind of as I said, we form an electrified wall. Everything else, when the robot is moving forward, will be basically run into the electrodes and get zapped altogether. But when there's a crop run into the electrified wall will try to find a way to avoid it. That's how the computer vision system works.
Chris Nobede had a comment in the chat. She says, all the research to date has shown that electricity has been very ineffective against various grass species of weeds. Do you have data that shows efficacy on various types and growth stages of grassy weeds?
Yes. So when the grass weeds are under, let's say, under 3 weeks old, and when the voltage we can raise up to more than 5,000 volts, there is a particular frequency that can effectively kill them. And for any voltage below that, it is, I mean, I agree with you, it's very difficult to kill. But that's why you just set the frequency and the voltage at a particular value to be able to kill them effectively.
Nick Wolf is wondering if it is avoiding crops and zapping everything else, is there a fire risk if it zaps debris or non-crop material found on farm, particularly any paper trash that might float in?
Okay, this is a part we haven't this is a part we haven't tested, but we'll do more testing in the summertime. But we have seen where paper trash left over in the farm, and when the weed zapper, sorry, when our robots run into it, it didn't set it on fire. It may set some smoke, but it didn't set it on fire.
Good.
David, I don't think you presented it, but what's your patent position? What's your intellectual property position on the zapper or whatever it's called?
Yeah. So the IP we have is on the computer vision algorithm when it's connected to the and the electrical weeding tools when it's effectively killing weeds on farm. That is our intellectual property. So if anybody is creating a machine that uses a similar algorithm and uses electric weeding, will be infringing our patents. So currently we have two provisional patent filed and a non-provisional patent filed.
Okay. Just kind of for self promotion for Kane. Do you want to comment about Kane's been a good partner, or have they been a good partner on your fundraising or helping pay for the research?
Yes. So our technology, electric weeding robots, has been generously funded and supported by Kane. I think they offered us more than $500,000 to bring this product to market. They've been incredibly supportive to what we do, and we feel very lucky that we have Kane as our partner early on in the development, and they guide us through the many stages of the development, give us some guidance on the regulation, on the trials, and push us to make sure the cycle time is pretty much the best in the market at this point.
Do a victory lap there, Garson.
Thanks, everybody.
And then just finally, David, what's your commercialization timeline? When can a farmer actually buy a unit?
Oh, for this season, we already have, well, way too many under 100. I mean, probably more than 50 under 100 farmers sign up for trial. So they all wanted this. But for this season, we want to be able to collect essential data on the farm, also on the performance of the machine when it's doing a full season commercial operations. So the commercialization, when they can start using this in commercial setting, will be sometime in the year 2026. But for this year, we welcome farmers to take this machine to their farm to try it out.
And can you run it in wetter weather that's not affected?
Sorry?
If the weather is wet, if the fields are wet, can you still run it or not?
Well, you cannot run the machine, let's say, 4 days after the heavy rain.
Okay.
Right. But you can run it when the field is muddy.
Okay.
Chuck had a question in the chat. Do you think that running power continuously, constant charge, is a potential waste of energy, or does that matter?
Sorry, could you say again? Running the power continuous constant charge. Not really, because the energy is not wasted or spent if the weeds are not touched the electrodes. So it's actually a quite smart way to save energy. So you don't have weeds to kill, it doesn't consume any energy at all.
And then Kyle, you threw your hand up again.
Yeah, sorry, just really quick question.
Yeah.
I mean, and I forgive me, I missed the very beginning of the meeting, and maybe this has already been touched on, but you're talking about, getting these units into the fields and collecting data and such. Has there been like linkages with the Smart Farm Network through Kane or the Innovation Farms Ontario Initiative or whatever? I mean, I assume so because you're on this call, but just wondering if you could speak to that in terms of, what role that might have played in the sort of commercialization journey.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've been actively communicating with Innovation Farm and the Smart Farm Network. I think this is an essential part of our commercialization strategy that we want to test the robots on their farms first before we launch the robots into the more commercial farming operation.
Just to jump in quickly as well for anyone else, Dan and I are kind of looking at project managing the working group, but we also project manage for the Innovation Farms Ontario as well. So the two are very collaborative.
All right. That was a good amount of questions. Were there any more or any last questions for David before we move on? I know already covered a lot, but
Just finally, David, what do you need? What can this group do to support your growth and drive to get this thing commercial?
We need as many, we need as many farms as a variety of crops to try this robots on. As I mentioned before, is to test the efficacy, efficiency, and the scalability of the robot. Also, to assess if there's any collateral damages for the robot. Also, I mean, as mentioned, in our farms and the crops that we can collect data to optimize the computer vision algorithm, etc. And also looking at potential collaboration with the Farmers Association and making connection for us to help promoting this technology, this non-chemical, sustainable ways of killing weeds. To support cost saving for farmers.
Awesome. And so I guess to follow up to Joe's question, David has sent a request in through the Microsoft Forum to do research this coming summer. But I think it would be good if there are any group members who are interested in having a field trial on their farm, please connect with us directly, and then we can kind of take that to the research subcommittee as we evaluate the proposal he's submitting. And then if there's anyone else that's maybe not sure on the call today, but is interested in being involved, just connect with Dan or myself afterwards.
Perfect. Thanks, Bridget. Ismir was wondering, just sort of a statement that they would be they'd be happy to put you in contact with growers in Quebec to do tests if that was something you had interest in.
Yes, we're definitely interested. Yeah, as I said, we want to get this machine to be tested on as many farms as possible, as much varieties as possible for different agro-geographic conditions, as many of them as possible. Also, it would be great if we can be connected to agronomists, so can provide a feedback from agronomic perspective on the machine, how it does to the economy of a farming's production system.
Excellent. David did add his contact information in the chat, but if anyone wants to connect after the fact, feel free to reach out to myself or Bridget, and we can also make that connection for you. David, thanks so much for your presentation. We really appreciate you taking the time and answering everybody's questions. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, everybody. With that, we'll continue on the rest of our agenda items. Upcoming events, Wednesday and Thursday of this week was the Ontario Fruit and Vegetable Conference in Niagara Falls. Bridget and I were both there as part of the Hagerty Agrobotics booth. We thought, I mean, we haven't really talked about it since it was just yesterday, but I thought it was a really good event. I thought it was well worth it. It was good, good networking, meeting some folks. Chuck, did you have something you want to comment on?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
All right. So it was I think the show is always good. It was interesting to see, more and more automation technology showing up and electric technology showing up. Like there's just more every year. I think the attendance was down. It felt like it was down over prior years. A lot of uncertainty in the geopolitical space, and a lot of farmers not really knowing what direction to head. So I think in general terms, it's going to be that will be something like a space we have to navigate very carefully. I think it really depends on which crop people are growing and where they're located. I talked to some producers who said most of their product goes into Canada anyways, so it didn't really affect them. I talked to some operators from Nova Scotia and from New Brunswick who said that 70% of what they produce goes into the United States, and so they're greatly concerned about what they're doing. So I think we're going from the general feel of things. It sounds like the tariffs are going to cause the price of steel, interestingly enough, in Canada to go up. So some of the suppliers have told me that the price of stainless steel, they've been told that it's going to go up 25% next month in anticipation of the US tariffs. Even though the steel is made here, they're going to raise the prices are going up anyways. And so the general manufacturers are, I don't want to say a bit depressed, but concerned about where things are heading. So I would say that half the producers I talked to were optimistic and were upbeat, and half the producers I talked to were very concerned about where things are at. That's kind of my 25 cents. Yeah.
Was there anyone else who attended that has any thoughts or comments on their experience with the show?
The fruit and vegetable show?
Yes.
Hey, awesome. Thanks. Yeah, hey everyone, this is Taylor Bentley. I was able to go and kind of hang out with my AAFC regional office colleagues, which was great. We had a really good experience because, yeah, just like I'm part of the Global Affairs regional office in Ontario, that's in Toronto. AAFC has a regional office for Ontario that's based in Guelph. And so they were there, and actually the only government representative, because OMAFA couldn't be at their usual booth. So that was useful. We also had IRCC there, so it was kind of like a trifecta of government departments, and we had really great reception. I just want to say that I found people were very action oriented. There was so much positivity through all of the frustration. Obviously, people were very interested when I mentioned that I'm responsible for tariffs and trade policy and promotion, and it's great because we're there to kind of show that we're there for folks when they need support. And so looking forward to a lot of follow-up. Shout out to OMAFA. There was great sessions, and the robotics one was those morning sessions arranged by Kelly were really great. Good mix of having producers be there presenting alongside the tech companies. Because I realized with this, and I may have mentioned it to a few, the specific crop, someone was able to talk about the technology application for vineyards, and suddenly like all of the wine growers in the room got it. So that was really cool. And yeah, looking forward to, I don't know, supporting OMAFA. Obviously in another year, there'll be more supportive, but this was my first time going, and yeah, great to report back to HQ and the rest of the office what a valuable opportunity it is. So yeah, thanks. And it was good seeing everybody there.
Awesome. Thanks, Taylor. Paul Vandenborg.
Hello. Yeah, I was at the show for the 2 days and at the Ontario Fruit and Vegetable Grower Banquet on the Tuesday night. And Chuck is correct. The geopolitical is on everybody's mind. Interesting, the different organizations, like it's critical, like time-wise. They've like plants are going to go to the greenhouse in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they have plan A, B, C, and D on their mind. And until something's in front of them, they can't do anything. But beyond that, like, and the Chuck is correct. There was fewer people there, but the registrations were up. The weather kept them away, and that's not, the organization can't do anything about that, which is
But it was, yeah, a little bit less, and the sessions were good. So the farmers were in the sessions, which was really good. Um, I mentioned I briefly spoke with Chuck there, and interesting. The week before, I went to the Louisville Farm Show, and you got to remember that's a grains and oil seeds world there. But uh, you know, uh, pat on the back for Ontario and Canada. We have a lot more technology, and uh, whether it's AI or equipment being shown and used by our horticulture producers than what they have. They're uh, that's not in their wheelhouse quite yet, but I believe what we're doing here and what horticulture is doing is, I believe we're leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of other areas. So uh, great for having the technology there, and yeah, there's a tractor down from my booth that was autonomous ready, I believe it was, and across from my booth there was AI technology for recording fruit uh, and disease, like and it was a busy booth. Like people stopped by, you could just see the people and their interest and the communication really great. So I sell micronutrients, so I'm not in the I'm in the technology world from another side, and but it was a good show again. And if the weather's better next year, it'll be much busier. That's all I have.
Excellent. Thanks for adding that, Paul. Appreciate it. And I'll mention it as well, just because I see it a couple times there in the chat. Jeff Farintosh gave a presentation. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see it, but I hear it was pretty good. So Jeff, I don't know if you want to comment on it at all, or
Sure. No, thank you for the kind words. I always feel guilty giving a presentation when I feel like half the people in the room have already seen it. Some people here many, many times, some derivation thereof. But the entire show, both days, I had people chasing me down, made some really valuable contacts. I think we have a lot of trials that came out of it. It's also just nice. Some of these things in the program or on this call, they kind of get breezed through, and I don't really have a deep understanding of what everyone's doing. So yeah, it was really valuable, I think, for me to actually get to sit down and talk to people. And I've lost my voice a little bit over the last couple of days, but yeah, really valuable all around. And I appreciate everyone who made time and came and chatted. It was great.
awesome. Glad to hear it. Yeah, so seems like everybody overall had a pretty good time, which is always a plus. It's better than having a bad time. Upcoming first week of March is the London Farm Show, 5th to 7th. Ottawa Valley Farm Show the week after that. So if anybody's attending that, we'll be interested in hearing how that went for everybody. Project updates. Still our general call for speakers and presentations. Let us know if there's a presentation you want to give or someone you think would be a valuable speaker. Also, just left it in there as a reminder that we've created a LinkedIn group so that it's private for working group members, so that we can chat and have discussions outside of the structure of the weekly meeting, a little more casual. So the link is in the agenda there. So definitely check that out, and hopefully we can get some more conversations going. If you haven't yet, please check out the survey to consent to share your contact information if anybody asks for it. It just helps us when people say, "Oh, can I connect with this person?" Then we have to go back to you and ask if it's okay if we share your email. So just smooths out the process for us quite a bit. So if you can take the time to do that, we appreciate it. A lot of you already have, but we have to. Not everybody has, so we have to keep asking. We do not have any new funding opportunities for this week's agenda. So at this point, I will throw things over to the round table. If there's anybody who has questions, thoughts, queries, I see Kristen has a comment. Make sure you fill in the survey for the fruit and vegetable convention. It's on the website. Any information helps improve things for next year.
I can add something here, Dan. So we had space in the booth this year for the working group and the innovation farm. So I think that was nice to see some signups and to get some producers interested in that space. Harvest Tech was also there promoting the asparagus harvester, and Corey Durick was there from Harvest, and they were very busy. Like, he had lots of people coming up and asking questions. So I think that was very nice to see that interest level. So I was happy to see it.
Excellent. And yeah, Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, I just Chuck's comment made me think about it. One thing I do want to sort of shout out for OFEC that I really like is that, well, we're focused on tree crops. We really enjoyed the discussion because I talked to people that were doing ornamental trees and a lot of people that are doing veg. And it's just nice to sort of have some cross-pollination to understand, because even wearing a grower hat, there's some things that are ahead or behind in veg versus fruit, right? And so just that more of that cross-pollination is helpful. And then as a technology developer, it's really helpful to have folks be like, okay, well, this is interesting for fruit, but I grow this veg. Could you do this here, right? And so just one extra little thing to add about the conference, that it's actually quite nice that there's such a diversity of growers. So it allows for that cross-pollination. So just sorry, it was a little late because we were talking about the conference earlier, but Chuck's comment just made me think of it. That's it.
Thanks, Matt. And this also was the first time, I believe the first time, having the new Monarch tractors on display. Chuck, I don't know if you wanted to throw in any comments about the interest in that and whatnot.
The reception to having an electric tractor is actually quite high. I don't know that the Monarch tractor is.
Oh. Everything froze.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, sorry. The main attraction isn't energy savings, actually. The main attraction is the fact that the tractor is quiet and that it doesn't vibrate when you're driving it. The farmers are actually, they don't even worry about how much diesel they're saving, and which I found was interesting. And so there's 2 growers for sure that will end up with the Monarch on the farm, and we'll see where it goes. You know, these are trial stages. I don't know that tractor is 100% ready to sell. Every one of these things when they're new are a little bit glitchy, and but there's lots of interest, and so I think the challenge will be what is the right use case? What's the right person, the right operations? Just like every other robotic technology.
Excellent. Any other thoughts, comments, questions? Bridget?
The only other thing I'll say is, so we did have David present today, and we had the presentation from Mary Ruth last week. We have 2 more that had submitted proposals on our form, and I know Chuck's got a few of just ones that were already running in past years, some with Mary Ruth's team, and then some just in the Innovations Farm sphere. So if there is any else, we are kind of coming up to the point where we need to kind of allocate where we're going to put funds and things like that for this coming summer. So if anyone else hasn't contacted us already, please do so. And we will be setting a meeting for the robotics subcommittee for research just to kind of final evaluate those proposals. So if you are not on that subcommittee and you would like to be, or if you're not sure if you're on it, please reach out to Dan or myself just so we can get that set up probably next week, if that works for everyone's schedules.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thanks, Bridget. Alrighty then. We've got our articles at the bottom of the agenda there for everybody to check out to, keep up to date on what's going on in the industry. But if there are no other comments or thoughts or anything, I think we'll bring the meeting to an end a few minutes early. Wanted to say thanks again to David for taking the time to present to us. Really enjoyed your presentation. And thank you to everybody for all your questions and for joining us each week. And we will see you again next week. All right. Thanks very much, everybody. Take care.